has actually been a little while since I have gone live in this group because I offer free coaching inside my membership now. So I'm excited to pop over here and really just open this up to whatever questions you have and offer some free support and coaching today. I put a post out yesterday asking for some questions, so I'm going to start with those that were asked in that thread. And if any others come up in the feed, then we'll get to those as well. This is also a reminder that the applications are open, the doors are wide open for early bird for our Illuminated training program. This is a 9-month program for coaches, healers, practitioners who want to step into a level of mastery, expand their toolbox, be able to facilitate life-changing change for their clients, receive raving testimonials, and honestly, buckle up and go on a spaceship ride this year because it's going to be freaking amazing over the course of 9 months. My students just so much changes, personal level and business. We'll drop that link in the comments below. Just giving you guys a second to hop on. And again, we're going to start with some of the questions from the thread I posted yesterday. But if you are just joining, you're welcome to ask a question in our thread as well. Let me just refresh my Facebook to make sure that if any comments come in, I don't miss them because sometimes that happens, especially on my phone. I don't always see comments. Okay, there it is, just in case. So let's begin with this first question. It says, taking the leap of faith, knowing all the things, but having the courage to take that jump into your new reality and really, putting yourself out there. Advice, tips, stories. Okay. So we have all the knowledge, knowing all the things, but the courage to actually jump into the new reality, jump into the desire, the deeper desire, the manifestation that you're calling in. The thing that's coming up for me right now is when we have a thinking thought versus a feeling thought. So a thinking thought, so think of superconscious, that's the information of the collective conscious and all that is hovering up here in space. And so we get this thought that drops down into our consciousness. And that's what this person was saying in their question as well around, I know all the things. So it's like information of all that is dropping in, thinking about it, dropping in, thinking about it, dropping in, thinking about it. And if we stay in just the space of a thinking thought, then there's no emotion connected to it. And without the emotion that is linked to that thought, that learning, that understanding, or in this case, the clarity on your desired reality, then it doesn't actually sink into our being, into a level of embodiment. And so what we want is instead, still great, we have access to all that is up here. The thought comes in, we know all the things that it's dropping in, thinking thought, whoosh. Feeling thought in the heart, feeling thought, feeling thought, feeling thought. So now I'm taking the things that I know, in this case, the things that you want in your desire, your reality, and you're dropping them down into your body. So we're taking it a step further from a thinking thought and dropping into the feeling thought in our heart. So we're not just trying to rationalize everything, because clarity on your desires is beautiful, but if then we just stay and we think about it and we think, this is what I want, 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 I want this, I want this, I want that. And we never allow the feeling to link up with the clarity of the mind, then manifestation is an embodiment practice. Taking empowered action is a byproduct of feeling what we desire. So when we drop down in and we bring it into our heart and we stop trying to rationalize all of it, or we just stay on the surface of thinking about it, then we start to feel it and we start to embody it. So a way you can do this more specifically with your goals is to start to create a sensory experience, or what we call, and I teach inside of Illuminated, is the internal representation. So you can build an internal representation around that feeling thought. So in this case, the feeling thought's going to be a goal. And it's like trying it on for size. So how would it feel to have that thing, or be that thing, or hit that level? It just depends on what your goal is. So you've got the goal in mind, you drop it into your heart. You start to feel into it. You create a sensory experience or an internal representation out of it. That means that we attach all of our sensory experience, senses to it, meaning what are you feeling in that moment when you already have it? What are you seeing in that moment? What are you saying to yourself? What are you hearing around you? Did I already say seeing? All the senses. So you're bringing in any sort of smells, tastes, anything else that would make it a sensory experience. And when we can get into the feeling of that, we can get into the embodiment of that, and then we can take aligned action towards that versus just knowing all the things. Thinking thought, feeling thought. Try it on for size. Literally, I put an Instagram reel out earlier of me trying this new little romper on. It's kind of like that, where you're like, I'm going to try this on and see if it fits. And how does it feel? How does it make me feel? And when you start to feel into some of these things, there's also an opportunity. So there's an opportunity for excitement and making it feel more real. But there's also an opportunity when you try it on for size and you build that internal representation to see, if any, because this may not be present, but what, if any, frequencies of fear or limitation still exist. So here I am, thinking thought, drop down into a feeling thought, created the internal representation, start to embody that thing so I can take the aligned action. But what I'm noticing is when I drop into it and when I feel it, there's also this little dialogue, little voice inside my head that says, I can't have it, you can't have it still. Or there's fear around what that would mean on a deeper level. So if there are any frequencies of fears that you're noticing that are coming in as you go through that process, then we know, like, it's not a problem. It's more like a ding, ding, ding light bulb moment where we can apply subconscious healing to that thought so that it no longer feels like it's like this scratchy little energy getting in the way, and instead it's something you can totally clear up. The way that we address it on a subconscious level is multiple ways. We can use hypnosis, we can use EFT, we can use muscle testing, we can use breath work, we can use even just guided imagery. These are all things I teach inside of Illuminated. So we can address it on the subconscious level, we can clear that, and then we can move forward. Okay, so without knowing the specific details of this question that was asked, I think I'm going to stop there. I did notice that she also asked for any advice, tips, or stories, so I can just quickly share maybe a story or two of moments when I feel like I have also taken the leap of faith and dropped down into my body and my being and no longer just tried to, like, it's not trying, you are just thinking about it. I want to change. I want something to be different. I want to make more money. I want to change the direction of my business. For me, gosh, probably about 2 years ago now. I'm not really sure. I think 2 years ago, I changed my whole brand, my whole business from, which some of you guys may remember if you're not too new here, from Autoimmune Tribe to the Uncensored Empath. And that felt like a giant change for me, that my brain, my thinking thought said, you should do that. Yeah, let's do it. That's what I want. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do that. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do that. And so I brought it down into my body and I started, and there was fear. There was frequency of fear there because I thought, what if everyone leaves? What if all the success that I've built, because I was already making great money and I already had this amazing following as Sarah Small Autoimmune Tribe. And so there was definitely frequency of fear. There was definitely dialogue of fear that came up. when I dropped it down into my being. But if I had kept it up here the whole time, I would never have realized that. So then I cleared that fear and allowed myself to take the action. And for me, it was a decision behind, I can stay here with this brand and this business and the offerings that I create, which feel okay. I didn't hate it. I just felt okay. And I felt like there was more. And I felt that there was a way for me to step into deeper alignment, which I wanted to create more expansion from. I didn't know what was going to happen. That is the leap of faith. You don't know. There's no way for you to control the outcome and ultimately in the end. So I went from a place of this is okay to this is so fucking aligned. And when I stepped into this is okay, or jumped up to this is so fucking aligned, that's where I started to see exponential growth. 10K months, 13K months, 16K months, 20K months, 22K months. If you guys have been following along, we just had our best month, the company as a whole, which is mostly me. I have a team that supports me. But the Uncensored Empath LLC brought in cash just under $40,000 in January 2021. And so each time, whether it's changing the name of my business or simply investing in myself in a really big way, or making a change in my business, or putting out a message that I really stand behind, whatever it is, those deeper levels of alignment have always led to exponential growth for me. It hasn't even been about whether I've loved the big investment that I've made. Just by making it, I've seen exponential growth in my business. Just by changing the name of my business to something that felt more aligned to me, more true to me, I saw exponential growth in my business. So I think I'll stop there, but that's definitely a theme that I have seen to be very true in my own journey, since you did ask for stories. Okay, the next question that was in the thread is, what do you do when you make progress and then hit a roadblock repeatedly? This is actually kind of cool because I feel like these questions overlap or are like related to each other a little bit. So what do you do when you make progress and then hit a roadblock repeatedly? That sensation of roadblock, first I want to acknowledge and validate, is normal on any journey. If you drive down any road long enough, eventually you're gonna like hit a little bump or a pothole, right? And so my question would be, if we were actually having a conversation, I'm still gonna present the question, I just won't be able to get the answer from you, at least not right now. The question is it the same roadblock that continues to show up? So is it the same thing that's feeling sticky, stuck, challenging, like a problem, or that you feel like is setting you back on that progress that you were talking about? Is it the same thing over and over? And if it is the same thing that's showing up as this roadblock, then it clearly hasn't been addressed or cleared. So it's like there's a big truck in front of you on the road, and there is, let's say it's a cement truck, and it's slowly dripping out cement that hardens, and you're like, like driving down this road and hitting all these like wet cement spots that are not conducive to your growth or to a great journey in your car. And so if the same thing, or even just a bunch of things, are popping up in the road and you're hitting all the little bumps, then it's not about trying to swerve around all those little hard cement spots. And instead, it's about going to the cement truck and either having it take a different direction and turn right and you go straight, or you fix whatever's leaking on the cement truck. And so this is an analogy that just came to my mind on the issue. If we try to skirt around it, then it's going to keep showing up. Spirit is going to continue to show us examples of this, situations in which this is coming up, until we take action or learn the lesson. Have you guys experienced this before? I know I have. The most recent one is around raising my prices. I invest in myself consistently on a regular basis, on a high level. That's something that was not comfortable for me at all in the beginning of my business. I always felt like there was not enough, it was irresponsible, all the money talk came in. Now I feel really comfortable and confident in investing in myself. Again, I do it very consistently and it's helped my growth. But what I noticed in the most recent kind of past, maybe last like 6 months or so, is investing at a high level and then feeling like, okay, so what I deliver in my containers, I felt like was of higher value and more support than what I was getting in those containers. And so I'm like, but they charge like double what I charge. That's interesting. But I feel like my containers are even more powerful than this container that I just paid for, this support that I just paid for. All right, well, scoot ahead over here on the timeline, and then I would invest in myself. I did invest in myself again. High level investment. Interesting. What I pay for this support, I give way more in my containers, and I'm charging a third of what they're charging. Do it again. This just happened again this last month. I invest in this big container, get support that was less than what I expected. And again, like compared to, not that comparison's always a good thing to do, but in this case, I was comparing the support I give my clients versus the support I was receiving in these high-level containers. And then finally, it was like, okay, hello, Sarah. You are feeling unsatisfied, unhappy with what you're getting out of these containers. Is part of that you are charging way less and giving way more inside of your own containers? And I was like, it's time to raise my prices. Not only had I heard it from people all over, and then my clients' testimonials are always like, I would pay double, I would pay triple, I would pay quadruple. Oh my gosh, you're so affordable, and your value, you give so much more than what you charge. I heard that over and over again. And then I had these personal experiences of investing in myself, and finally it was like, okay, like spirit, God, universe is showing me this opportunity to raise my prices and to learn this lesson, and I haven't been taking it. And finally it was just like, okay, I see it now. I see the cement. I see the drip. I see the leak in the cement truck in front of me. We're doing it. Have you guys had a similar experience? And this may be in business, it may be in life, it may be in health, it may be in a relationship, where you feel like that thing keeps coming up and you may not realize it right away, but eventually once you become consciously aware of it, it's like, oh, okay, so we're supposed to make a change here. So we go back to this question that was asked. I know that was a little bit of a tangent, but I wanted to share that story. And if we continue to see these roadblocks, I'm going to use the terminology from the question, that we continue to see these roadblocks, then ask yourself, am I seeing the evidence of what needs to change? And am I actually gathering the lesson and making the change that needs to happen? The other way I want to talk about this is along more like you're running on a track and you're jumping over hurdles. Because again, it's natural to experience bumps and challenges on any path, on any journey. And this is what I think of when I think of that happening, both when it has happened to me, but also just with my clients as well. You're running along and you jump over the hurdle. And in the jump, you're like, I'm free, I'm flying, like this beautiful growth, this beautiful like leap. Like, let's say you're really good at hurdles and you're just like taking off and you're growing. And then you like bonk your head on something and you're like, oh shit, that hurt. And so you feel like progress, I'm jumping this hurdle, and then, oh, bam, ouch, that hurt. And that bam on the top of our head is this bonk of energy that is us hitting our energetic ceiling. And that another term that I sometimes use for energetic ceiling is our comfort zone. So we think about you can even think of this like on a graph where you're like progress. Oh, there's the line where I hit my comfort zone, what feels safe, what feels familiar to me, and then you're just like, boop, ouch, oof, let's go back down here. So we try to stay within this like specific range. So if we like jump the hurdle and keep our head tucked down, it's like, oh, that was pretty cool. But then you're not actually like growing or like rising to where you really want to be. What we can do once we start to realize this, where we're like, bonk, is that the bonk happens when we're growing and moving into a new level, new way of being, new lifestyle, new capacity to earn financially in your life. Maybe even just a number of people who are seeing you and you're like supporting, or who are saying yes in any given container. That bonk is, whew, that's not comfortable. Oof, stay down here. Oh, stay down, stay down. Because it's new, because it's unfamiliar, uncharted territory. So in order to hurdle that hurdle and be like, and not hit your head and bonk on the energetic ceiling or the discomfort of moving outside of your comfort zone, is we need to get grounded in our values and our deeper why and our mission, so that that drives us to the extent, to the fire in your belly, which allows you to bust through the energetic ceiling and continue to thrive, continue to grow. Yes, the discomfort is not necessarily going to dissolve or dissipate or disappear completely. And instead, I see it as the deeper mission, the why, the being grounded in your values, so anchored into this is what I am meant to do on this fucking planet, that it's a non-negotiable, that a little discomfort doesn't fucking matter because I'm going there. I am leaping. I am jumping this hurdle. Lift it up 5 more inches. I'm going for it. And you leap over that hurdle and your head does not bonk anything because you are so committed to the path. You are so committed to that result, that outcome, that desire, that goal that you have. So yes, the discomfort is still going to exist on some plane and on some level, but it's not going to stop you or going to bonk you down into this place where it's like, stay down here, stay small, stay in your comfort zone. And instead, you're going to shatter. You're going to shatter the ceiling and you're going to keep going. So having the answers to those questions, while sometimes it feels tedious to sit down and journal and answer these questions, is so important to actually making the progress that you desire and no longer hitting all of these roadblocks. The other thing I want to put into this conversation, make sure I touch on, is that in order to do that, another very complementary thing that you can do is to downregulate your nervous system to the extent that you feel safe. Because if it's clear why, clear purpose, I am so fucking driven, this is happening, I get this, I deserve this, I am worthy of this in my life, but there's still this massive thing that says that's not safe for you, then great, we've done the one of the steps, but we really need both. We also need the sense of safety in your nervous system, because our autonomic nervous system is going to and does operate in such a way that is going to keep us in as close to like homeostasis as possible. It's going to keep you down there. This is what we know. This is where you stay. Put your butt down into the seat, duck your head. This is where we operate. So we have to do some, it depends on where you're at, but oftentimes my clients also need some nervous system work and even reprogramming within the neural pathways to calibrate, or for the ability to calibrate. So when our nervous system feels safe, we can now bust through the ceiling. We've got strong drive, we have strong motivation, we have the tools, we have the resources, and my nervous system is okay with, it's still going to feel like a change, because it is a change, but as I go through the change, I'm calibrating to it so I can sustain it and I no longer have to dip back down here. This is all information we teach inside of Illuminated. The module 1 is all about down-regulating the nervous system, understanding the way our brain or the 3 brains work, and how to support clients in creating a safe space, not only in your coaching container, but for them in their life and their nervous system. Because if we're living in a state of survival and scarcity, then the things that we desire are going to feel so much farther away. It's going to feel really far away. So many coaches, I just got a phone call, many coaches don't start there. They're like, okay, let's just go for it. And if we just go for it and we don't address the nervous system in the sense of safety, then oftentimes we see those big dips, those big like backlash, whiplash feeling, like this question asks, what do you do when you make progress and hit a roadblock repeatedly? Now my phone's on low battery. So that's going to keep happening until we calibrate to a higher level. Okay? Those were all the questions in the thread. Let's just check on time and see the comments to see if there's any additional questions. What's the easiest way to create an online... It cuts off right there, Erica. Erica, are you still here? Are you still watching? It says, what's the easiest way to create an online... maybe program, online presence, online community. What was your full question? I'll give you a second to see if you're here to fill in that blank. I feel like that part of the question is important in order to be able to answer it. In the meantime, if anyone else has questions, please drop them below. Again, this is just an open call space for you guys to ask any and all questions that may be on your mind that you may be curious about. I'm really here for any and all of it. It can be business related, life related, healing related, whatever. You can ask me about my own stuff. I'm happy to tell stories. Okay. So I'm going to give Erica another second to see if she comes in with her full question. And I'm also going to remind you that the doors are open for Illuminated, our 9-month coaching program. You guys, it's going to be so transformational. I am not going to go through all the details. I started talking about it in the beginning of our call today in this space, but you can also go read all the details on theuncensoredempath.com/illuminated, or just go to theuncensoredempath.com and click Illuminated. You can see all the details there. There are frequencies and codes infused into that page, into the graphics, into the words that I believe you will feel, that you will feel something from, and that will activate you into a state of curiosity. And that, let's go back to the analogy that I was using in the beginning, answering the first question from today, where you're in a thinking thought. Should I join Illuminated? Is this going to be helpful for me? Is this the right thing to do? Do I have the funds to be able to invest in this? And instead of just thinking about Illuminated and joining us, I invite you to drop into your heart, into your being, and allow yourself to feel into it. I love the question, and I've actually asked every woman who said yes to Illuminated so far, these people are amazing. These people are so amazing. I'm so excited for this next round. And every time I've been on a call and somebody has said, I'm doing it, I'm in, yes, we have celebrated them. And I've had them close their eyes and I've had them feel into the end of November of 2021 and what becomes possible for them through their yes, through this 9 months of like high level support in your life and in your business. And so at the end of November, where are they going to be? How are they going to feel? How is their life going to have changed on a personal level? And how are they going to have grown and scaled their business, built confidence, started to receive those testimonials and the impact that they desire? That's one side of it. Absolutely feel into the future. But also a very important question that we get to ask ourselves around these big decisions that we make, because Illuminated is not for everyone. If you're listening to this, it may or may not be for you. I'm not here to pressure you into it, but I am here to invite you into that activation if it does feel right for you. And the question I want to present is, what is the cost of not receiving the support you desire on the path to your goals. We've been talking a lot about these analogies of like the road and the track and the hurdles and like moving up towards your desires in this conversation today. So what is the cost of never realizing what the ceiling is in your hurdle? What is the cost of continuing to swerve around the cement truck that's dripping? What is the cost of not getting the support or not realizing what's really standing in your way versus what you think is standing in your way on your journey, pathway towards your desires? And oftentimes that illuminates, didn't mean to use that word, but I did. That is oftentimes what shines a light on where our energy needs to go. Like where our energy actually needs to be shifted towards. Does that make sense? Because if we, again, consciously are just thinking about what we desire, and we're trying to think our way into solution, and we never stop to ask ourselves, like, what's in the surroundings? And we don't ask that question, what is the cost of not getting support? Versus most people are so focused on, well, the fear of getting the support, the fear of saying yes. I'm just paralyzed in fear around saying yes. Okay, I've been there. I know what that feels like. But have you asked yourself the other side of the story, the other side of the coin? Have you also asked yourself, not just how afraid am I to make this to say yes, to get support, because, and we could go way deeper into that because that's very interesting, but also, what happens if I don't get the support? What happens if I, go back to this analogy, bonk my head, trip, roadblock. How much more frustrated, exhausted, and broke am I going to be if I don't get the support? So again, this is not for everybody. And this is certainly not for you if it's too stretchy of an investment. I think stretchy investments are great, but we also, goes back to the nervous system. If it's not safe for you and your nervous system to invest at this level, then that's a different story. If it's like, oh shit, I'm doing this, it's kind of scary, but I'm also kind of excited, then fuck yes, come in. So I'm not here to say that this is for you or isn't for you. We can talk about that on a call if you desire, but instead to invite us all into this place of exploration, self-exploration, and discovery around any investment or any support that you're seeking in your life, regardless of whether it's with me or somebody else. And to look at it from different angles other than just your fear voice. The fear voice is often the loudest, but that is not the only voice that is present. So when we open up our ears and we activate our empath feelers, you'll see that there's more than just a fear voice present. You feel me? Okay. Any other questions? Okay. I'm going to wrap up there. It's been so fun jumping on with you, supporting you. I'm excited to hear back from the ladies who asked those questions when they're able to listen to this, and if there's anything, any aha moments, any realizations, or any follow-up questions you may have. I'll drop a link below for Illuminated in case you do want to check it out or you do want to jump on a call to discuss it further with me. If you apply by tomorrow morning, you will also get an invitation into a free breathwork session. So applying doesn't like lock you into anything, doesn't cost anything to apply, but when you apply by tomorrow morning, you will be invited into a breathwork session that will also be recorded. It's called Double Your Impact, Double Your Income. So if that feels like, ooh, yeah, I want that, apply now. All right, guys, have a good night.